Welcome back to another weekly outlook where I go over all the forex pairs to see what's up with the pairs and what we can trade next week. So my name is Oscar Madsen. I'm a funded trader as well as a personal trading coach inside the Trading Academy, and with this video I'm trying to give as much value as possible so you guys can become profitable as well. So what can we see on our first pair, the DXY? Well, that we grabbed liquidity underneath these lows, tapped in towards this fresh demand, and we're getting some reaction. So now I'm going to go over the lower time frame to see if we are ready to move up higher already. So looking at the daily, what do I see? Well, on the daily, we just broke this high, so we broke order flow. So we now have this being our demand, which could push price back up higher again, right? So from here, I'm just looking for some more upside. And if we look at the daily structure, well, you can say that this is a daily high, trading to the daily swing low, so we still need to trade in towards those 50% prices. So yeah, definitely looking for upside for now, and I think if the fundamentals are in line, we could take out these highs soon or later too, tap in towards this overall weekly supply. Going over to the 4-hour time frame, what do I see? Well, we are 4 hours still bearish, but the order flow on the daily is bullish, and I also expect upside because we took all of that weekly liquidity at the lows, so I still expect some move up higher. If we turn 4-hour swing bullish, I do expect to see a lot like higher probability setups to trade up higher. So then going over to Euro USD, starting at the weekly, we tapped this supply, grab liquidity. So what am I expecting? A reaction down lower towards what? Towards the 50% levels of this swing move, right? And then from here we could trade up higher or maybe trade down lower. That's for then to see. So on the daily, we also broke the daily fractal twice. So that means that we have now this supply in control, which could push price back down lower, right? So this is what I'm looking for in order to push price back down lower. Now we could also grab some liquidity here and then trade down lower. That's what we gotta be careful for. But I'm looking forward to this liquidity to get taken out perfectly at that 50% level. Going over to the 4-hour, I will see what kind of confirmation I'm looking for. So what I'm looking for, yes, we are bullish, but again, higher time frame over the 4-hour time frame. And most of the time, yeah, we don't trade a counter trend, but because the order flow has switched, because of the fundamentals, I would look at trading down lower next week. So what I would like to see is actually break the structure, just because we then can like check off the structure from our checklist. And then I would like to see a liquidity grab above the highs, our entry model, so a fractal break, and then from this supply, I would take a short setup trading down lower in towards this demand zone. So that's what I'm also expecting or wanting to see for Euro USD, and I'm definitely going to take a short setup. Going over to GBP USD, looking at the weekly first, what do I see? Well, we tapped in towards this supply and we now swipe the highs over here, so we could see a reaction down lower. But we still have this refined imbalance candle, which I'm a little bit hesitant of, in order, yeah, because we could push back up higher, tap in towards that supply before making the actual move down lower. But looking at the daily, if we take our PVD tool from the daily swing low to the daily swing high, as you can see, we should trade down lower in towards the 50% levels, especially now that we took a liquidity above this high and this high. But as you can see, this supply is still open, and that's why I'm going to, going to take Euro USD above GBP USD, the short setup, because of this supply that's still open, and I'm scared of this. So without that supply, it looks really good to already trade down lower, because we took the liquidity, we changed the fractal down lower, so we could continue to trade down lower too. Looking at the 4-hour, same as the daily, this is my PVD, and we have some liquidity at the lows as well, so I just expect a move down lower. What I would like to see is get some liquidity above these highs, tap in towards this supply, for example, see the fractal break. Now you could possibly short. I'm not going to, I think, because I'm hesitant of that higher time frame supply, and I think we could possibly see something like this before moving down lower. So that's why I prefer Euro USD. Going over AUD USD, well, I'm looking at upside. Why? Well, if we take a look, we took liquidity at this internal low, and we switched order flow by breaking the highs. Now we have this demand in control. This could push price back up higher towards what? Well, if you look at the structure, towards the 50% level. So I still expect upside until the 50% level. On the weekly, going over to the daily, well, what do I see? A daily supply with some daily liquidity underneath. So that's my point to trade towards, and from this point I will also look at shorts. But definitely, if I am going to take a long setup, it's going to be until, or my TP is going to be all the way until this supply zone. So how am I going to enter a trade? Well, that's quite tricky, because am I going to wait for the 50%? In my opinion, I'm not going to, because it's way too deep down lower. I'm fine with just grabbing liquidity under these lows, getting a fractal break, and then I would like to go long in towards those highs. So on the 4 hour, I have the same analysis. We have liquidity at the lows. If we take this out, and if we then see order flow switching bullish again, right, creating demand, then I will look at possible long setups in towards that supply. Going over to NZD USD, looking at the weekly time frame. So what did we do? Yes, we are weekly bearish, but we rejected the weekly low over here because we failed to break the low and we ended up breaking up higher, which means we could trade up higher. Most of the time it means that we take liquidity also at the highs, so maybe this is for the future as well. For now, I'm just looking for this supply to trade towards that. We took liquidity underneath the lows, so I also expect liquidity at the highs to get taken out. This demand is still open, so I would wait for a tap in demand before moving up higher in towards the highs again, just to be sure. Again, this is exactly the same with the daily. What can we see? Well, of course, that we have this daily demand. From this daily demand, we could trade up higher. So that's also what I'm waiting on. But the only thing is that we often see a rally-based rally. So now we had a rally, then we see a base, and then you see a rally without touching the demand. But I'm only going to take a long setup here, like predicting the rally base rally, if we change the fractal. So the fractal over here is bullish at the moment, or bearish, my bad. So this is daily fractal, and then we break the fractal low. So what is our fractal high then? Well, this is going to be my fractal high. So I'm going to set my alert on top of this high. Once we break this fractal high, then I will look at the rally base rally, right? So that's my vision. I'm not going to go over to the 4 hour because this is just my vision on the daily. I wanted to take this, but now that I see that we still have this daily and weekly demand open, I want to wait for the daily confirmation, so the daily fractal break before going long. So that would be this high over here, I think. This is what I want to break. And then if we break this fractal, then I would want to see something like this. So this is what I'm trying to see for NZD USD next week. Going over to Euro AUD, like we said previous week, there was room for downside trading towards this liquidity and the 50% levels. And as you can see, it played out previous week. And I think we could drop down further this week too. So we could possibly see a small reaction from this demand, but then after some reaction, I still expect downside in towards this demand zone. Going to the daily, we have this open demand over here, as well as this daily demand over here. Then we can also see that we have some bearish order flow, and we could trade that order flow down lower and just continue to trade down lower. From this daily demand, you could take a possible long setup, but I wouldn't advise to do this. Why? Because look at this move in towards the upside. No liquidity in the move. We are possibly going to take liquidity at the lows before giving any reversal up higher. So don't try to be sneaky, don't try to long here. We didn't check liquidity of our checklist, so it's actually not valid to take the long setup there. On the 4 hour, we are bullish. We have some liquidity over here with some demand, so you could say that you are going to go longer over here, but like I said, it's not valid because the daily has no liquidity in this move up, and this could be a prop like this. Once we see the fractal change, in my opinion, this is just a buyer's trap and we just continue down lower. I'm not going to take a short setup too because I might be wrong and we could still trade up higher before moving down lower. So the only setups here for me are waiting for the low to get swiped, then I will look at longs, or we take some liquidity at the highs, for example, let's say in this supply, and then we can short. So at the moment you can see the moves are far away, so it will probably be not for next week, but I will keep you guys updated on this. GBP AUD, well, like I expected previous week, I want to trade down lower in towards what? In towards this open weekly demand with this liquidity. So I'm definitely going to be looking at shorts here, because I 100% think that we're going to trade in this open box. Going to the daily, well, we are bullish. We just retraced in towards the premium prices, but like I said, look at the liquidity under these lows with that open weekly demand, definitely a point to trade towards. And I can now see that we have some daily supply as well where I'm looking to go short from. So as you guys can see, it is counter trend, right? So we are counter trend, counter discount prices. So it's not the best setup here, not A plus, because we're bullish and we tap the discount prices. So normally you would say we trade up higher, but because that weekly is open, we have some liquidity underneath, I could expect to trade down lower in line with this little supply zone. Especially if we break this low, we also break the order flow as well, because for now this demand is in control. If we break that demand, we could trade down lower, but it's not the best A plus setup, but I still think we could definitely trade down lower. So if we get enough confirmation, more than enough, then I'm definitely going to look at possible short setups, trading towards these liquidity lows over here. For the rest, what I want to do, either this short like I explained, or if we take the liquidity, take the A plus long, why A plus, bullish, discount, open demand, liquidity, everything is in line, wanting to take the short long setup there. Going over to Euro NZD, so as you can see, we took liquidity above the high, and now if we take liquidity above a major high, what do we expect? Well, to take liquidity at least at this little liquidity low. So I'm looking for shorts to trade towards this liquidity low and this open demand. Going over to the daily, what can I see? Well, we are daily bullish. We still have the discount prices open where we could expect to trade down lower towards, and also this open demand to tap in before moving them higher. So definitely 100% looking at shorts. We also have bullish or bearish order flow, I can see. So this is our daily supply, and we then have this daily supply, and we then have this daily supply in control at the moment. So I'm definitely looking at shorts here. So what I want to be doing here is possibly wait for this to go, a retracement back, and then I would want to short. This is my daily analysis. For now, it's already valid to go shorter, in my opinion, because we have this supply in control. And this, liquidity is just so weak because we took a lot of weekly liquidity at the highs. So I'm definitely looking to go short here. So going over to the 4 hour, what do I see? Okay, we are 4 hour bullish. So you would say that you trade up higher, but like I said, higher time frame over 4 hour time frame, or over lower time frame. So I see liquidity at the lows, and I just expect to trade down lower. So it is counter trend, it is counter discount prices, but higher time frame over lower time frame. I can see we take liquidity here, so which makes this supply a bit stronger. We then take extreme liquidity here. We create a new supply as well as a new supply over here. So we could just start off by shorting next week. Definitely going to analyze this, but what can I see? It opens supply zone over here with some liquidity above. So this is also definitely not a possibility. So that's definitely, yeah, something to keep in mind. Definitely looking quite nice. So going to draw that out. But for now, longing, in my opinion, is not the best to do. Why? Like the same thing as Euro AUD. If we look at this move up, no liquidity in the move, so we expect to take the lows out. That's why a longing here is not the best option. Looking at GBP NZD, well, looking for longs here are beautiful, in my opinion. Because, like, what can we see? But guys, bullish order flow, like, and then we can see we have this little demand zone, and then we take liquidity underneath, like, so beautiful, right? Like, we have been continuing up for so long. Why won't we continue up here? Like, history repeats itself, guys. So if we now trade down lower, well, okay, that could be a possibility. Then we take one stop loss, and I think there is just a possibility that we just trade up higher, right? So going to the daily here, we took liquidity under all these lows. So we are daily bullish, we are in discount prices, we took liquidity at the lows, and if we also take a look, we traded in towards this demand zone as well. So definitely looking A plus, guys. Yeah, so clean. We have bullish order flow, we have demand. Over here we have liquidity, we are bullish, we are in discount prices. Actually everything is in line. The weekly order flow was also in line. So yeah, looking very clean. The only thing that I can see that's not in line is the 4-hour structure, but higher time frame above lower time frame. So let's see, we have this little 4-hour demand that I can see. If I now take a look, we took some liquidity at the lows here, so we swiped lows before we could move up higher. We now took some liquidity again at these lows, could fuel the next move up higher. And we still have some liquidity left open at these highs, right? And if we look at the 4-hour swing that's bearish, we could still make a move towards the premium prices. So definitely not bad here to try to look for a long setup. What I would look for, a fractal low break to this become the fractal high break in order to go long. Now if we see this, okay, if we see this exact thing, am I going to take the long setup? Not yet. Why? Well, because this supply is still fresh open. If we tap that supply, well, we could still move one more time down lower before moving up higher. So that's the reason why I'm not going to be aggressive here after one fractal break. Wait for more confirmation because of this fresh supply zone. And then if we see enough confirmation, we could take a big trade because there is enough upside room, and it is an A plus trade. Of course, guys, keep in mind everything that I say here is technical. Fundamental is not included, so I might be looking over the week, thinking something different if the fundamentals change or if I just read something about the fundamentals. So keep that in mind as well. So looking at AUD NZD, I did a trade breakdown on this one, and as you can see, it's running great. If you didn't yet watch the trade breakdown, make sure to do so. It's my second episode of Trade Breakdown Saturday. But going over to the weekly, yeah, definitely still have that bullish order flow, so looking absolutely crazy to trade up higher. As you can see, great bullish candle with this open supply with the liquidity underneath, definitely something to trade towards 100%. We're going to take a look at the daily here. We saw this little channel popping up, which is more clear on the 4-hour, and then yeah, boom, beautiful. What I will try to do is, yeah, actually not taking a short from here. Why not? Because the order flow is bullish. We want to wait for a reaction from that supply, trade, for example, back in towards somewhere over here, and then we can go and take a new long setup. So I'm all like only going to long AUD NZD, not looking at any shorts because the order flow on the higher time frame is bullish. So what I'm now looking for, actually we could take a little short setup. Why? Because we're bearish, we have liquidity and supply. So if we create our own supply zone as well, we have two supply zones, 1, 2, which is multiple supply zones. A chain of multiple supply zones is also bearish order flow here. So we then have everything from the checklist checked off, so we could take a short setup here. That's a possibility. Am I going to do so? I don't know yet. I need to look at the fundamentals, at everything, before I can evaluate. Why? Because it's counter the higher time frame order flow, and then you need to be very careful before going counter that, okay? But we'll see. First, we need to hit TP before shorting. Otherwise, if we start dumping down lower next week, if we take this liquidity, I'm 100% going to take a new long setup, an extra scaling after we see that fractal break, and maybe tap into resistance amount. I'm 100% going to take this setup. But let's see what price does, and yeah, keep you guys updated. So on the weekly time frame, USD Swiss, well, we tapped in towards this little demand over here. Why this demand? Because we see wicks over here. Well, come on guys, as you know, these wicks are so fast. I don't know from what they are, but it's literally like, what are these? Is it 25,000 pips, or it's, I don't know, 2,570 pips, like, which is actually crazy. So I don't think a lot of people have traded inside these wicks, which means we have still the amount over here. I'm just going to ignore these wicks. I don't know what these are. So we tap the demand, in my opinion. We then change the weekly fractal bullish. So we now are order flow bullish as well. We are weekly bearish, but we could expect to trade up higher towards those discount premium prices. So definitely moving up at upside for next week. Looking at the daily, well, we have this little zone, and we just got our first step over here. So a lot of people are buying here. In my opinion, these are early buyers. Would like to see one more swipe, swiping them, then I'm 100% going to enter to go long again in towards what? In towards that 50% level where we have the liquidity as well. So going to the 4 hour here, well, what do we see? We're 4 hour bullish. We have some liquidity under the lows. Discount prices as well, looking so beautiful. So I'm actually looking for this. Then I will wait for my confirmation. And over here, I 100% going to take the long setup. If we see this, what's on my chart, I 100% will take the setup because it's so clean. Weekly fractal bullish, going to trade towards the premium prices. Liquidity open at the highs over here. 4 hour is bullish. 4 hour discount prices, liquidity, and we have like beautiful early buyers, which we are going to swipe possibly. And if I then see the confirmation, this is just a beautiful setup. This is what I like to see when I'm a trader, right? So when we look at the weekly here, well, what do we see? We failed to break the ultimate low, and we grab some liquidity here. So I could expect some upside. As you can see, of this move down, we tapped the premium prices, and now we just continue down lower. So I would not be surprised if we just continue down lower. Also because the daily over here is bearish, so sooner or later we should break the low. We have bearish order flow, but this supply is still open, so wouldn't be surprised of something like this before actually moving down lower. But again, we could still already move down lower. Let me make this to the 4 hour. So what I then see is, yeah, we break the daily fractal over here, meaning that we are inside this little demand zone or big demand, which could push price up higher. This is our refined demand, which I expect to push price possibly up higher. Looking at the 4 hour, well, I'm not going to take a long setup here. So I was actually looking at this long setup, but now what do I see? We are bearish. We have liquidity open, that's true, but we are bearish and we tapped the premium prices, and with everything in mind that we could possibly trade down lower on the higher time frame, I'm not going to take this long setup. Why not? I've seen USD switch which looks nice, AUD NZD could form nice, GBP NZD could form nice, so I prefer to take those pairs instead of this pair. So that's a reason why I'm not going to take this setup at all. Even though there is a possibility that this trade could go, I still am going to analyze this pair, but again, I'm going to be hesitant because there are better setups forming on other pairs. Going to go over to GBP Swiss, we see this beautiful swipe at the lows trading back up higher. Did we tap the supply? We did not tap the supply, so what could you expect, guys? One more swipe up, and then we could either trade down lower after this swipe, or we just continue up higher, swiping everybody at the highs. So that's what I'm expecting. Going over to the daily, we are daily bearish. We have daily supply, which you just missed, but we already tapped premium prices. But then again, am I going to look for longs? Still going to look for longs. Why? We are selling premium prices, or discount prices, sorry, and we still have this supply open. So in my opinion, what are these? Early sellers. We swipe them and then the actual move down lower happens. So still GBP Swiss looks nice to go long. We also broke the daily fractal over here, in my opinion. So then what can you say? Well, that this is your daily demand. Refining it is this demand, waiting for a tap in that, waiting for the confirmation in order to trade up higher. Going over to the 4 hour here, we are 4 hour bullish, and then okay, this is also a beautiful setup. So this is the same setup. Wow. So basically this is still open, the higher time frame supply. We have some liquidity open as well. Oh, right, so we have some liquidity open, and we now, after break of structure, see a little pullback happen. I see some liquidity inside this demand, which is called internal liquidity. If we take this out, let's wait for confirmation. We also have or close to discount prices. If we then see that confirmation, oh my god, highs are like longs positions are so beautiful. I can't speak, like I've been already speaking for 30 minutes, but okay, we take liquidity, we tap in demand, we have discount prices, we are bullish, right? So then this setup is actually also a plus, trading towards this internal liquidity, which I'm also going to do, trading above to these highs. So definitely waiting for this too, looking really clean. Taking a look at AUD Swiss and NZD Swiss after this one, which are almost the same. So weekly bearish, could trade the bullback back up to the 50% and maybe the supply zones as well. Going over to the daily, yeah, well, this is hard, so you cannot really look at the daily here. Why? This is your fractal high, this is your fractal low, so you're kind of in this range. Not really liking this at the moment, but we could definitely trade towards this overall big supply zone, right? We could definitely trade until that. From there we could see a possible reaction, or we could just keep on moving up higher. Going over to the 4 hour, I do see that we were bearish and then we turned bullish over here, but then we had this little wick. So this is our swing, which I explained I think in previous weekly outlook. But then what do we see? The order flow is just remaining bullish. So the discount prices over here are still open, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a swipe before moving up higher, swiping everybody over here. But with this bullish order flow, the bullish momentum, the bullish fundamentals, upside is not so low of a probability. But am I going to take the long setup here? No, because what I've backtested, my continuation trades are not really the best. They tend to often hit stop loss, because what is this? This is a continuation trade with the order flow in line to trade up higher. but I like to trade these more because my win rate with these reversal trades, bearish, bullish, my win rate is far better than just continuating. So going over to NZD Swiss, I took a continuation long, but okay, let me explain this one. So what do I see? We are weekly bearish, but we miss connection with this supply, or we did, yeah, we did. We miss connection with the premium prices, so we could still make connection with premium prices. Looking at the daily time frame, well, what do I see? Again, swing or fractal low, fractal high, but we miss connection with this supply. Early sellers are in for me here. Why? Because we just missed the supply and we could just trade down lower here, or we could not trade down lower. This is impossible. This is a no 100% of the times. We are going to swipe this before trading down lower, unless somebody like drops a bomb around the world, then yeah, we will see a dump on NZD Swiss. But for now, I guess we are just going to have a normal week next week. So I guess that we're just going to continue it up higher towards the supply. Looking at the 4-hour, so on a 4-hour, you could say that we are either bearish from this point and that we could possibly trade down lower soon, but like I said, this is a no. Like with the supply open, we are just going to continue it up higher, in my opinion. A lot of people trying to go short because we're bearish, but yeah, I know this is open, bad high, trading towards that high. Or you could say that we were bearish over here as well, then we were bullish. So this is also something that you could say, but in my opinion, we are bearish. I'm just continuing up higher because this is bad, this is open, and the fundamentals are in line with NZD Swiss long. So that's why I'm taking this setup. Going over to CAD Swiss, let's take a look at the weekly. So on a weekly time frame, we are okay. This is actually looking like a nice setup already. Why we are bearish? We got a fractal low break and now a fractal high break, creating this demand which we tapped in, and now we are possibly going to trade up higher. Definitely looking at long setups here for next week, trading towards what? Towards this supply as well as the premium levels. Looking absolutely beautiful. Looking at the daily, oh wow. So we are daily bearish, right? But we could trade up higher towards the premium prices. And we have an open supply zone. We have open liquidity above the highs, which is really ugly. We could take that easily out. Premium levels are there. We have bullish order flow on the daily. This is looking absolutely beautiful to just continue up higher. Definitely going to possibly look at long setups here 100% of the times. So 4-hour bearish, in my opinion. Like I said previous week, I don't count these kind of moves. This was just fluctuation, in my opinion, from the Trump tariffs. A lot of price movement, but now I'm just expecting a recover to take some liquidity and tap this supply. So definitely going to take the long setup here. I was looking at this long setup, but I'm going to wait for maybe to break this high, and then I'm going to take it like this. Or if we now decide to swipe the lows, for example, or grab some liquidity at least, then I will look at longs as well. I'm just going to take a long setup here, looking absolutely beautiful. At the moment, we still have bullish order flow. So if we continue up higher, yeah, I will just continue and take that long setup. I'm going to put my alert on top of this high as well. We gotta be careful with this supply though, which could do something like this. So we gotta keep this in mind, but I will keep you guys updated inside my update channel inside the Discord. But yeah, definitely CAD Swiss on the higher time frame looking very nice to trade up higher over here. I just want to open a lot size just randomly and just trade until the highs, but we'll see what price will do, and yeah, keep you guys updated on this. Looking at USD CAD, so like we saw, we took liquidity above the highs, so what could we expect? At least liquidity over here, but maybe sooner or later take liquidity down lower. For now, we still have this supply open, so a tap in there before moving down lower is also possible. looking at the daily for more confirmation to see what will happen. So actually what we draw previous week didn't play out, but let's see. So we are still inside this little demand zone, which I still think could get taken out because this is some trend line. We could take that demand out before moving up higher. But now we've seen one time a rejection, another time, and now the third time we're rejecting the low. So if we start breaking the highs here, I wouldn't be surprised if we now actually start to move to trade up higher, because we've showed multiple times that we failed to break this demand zone down lower and that we could trade up higher. Looking at the 4 hour, we are also 4 hour bearish, right? Over here, with liquidity open above the highs, premium prices, supply zone, liquidity looking absolutely beautiful. But why am I not so excited about this one? Well, the fundamentals could say that we could trade up higher, but I don't know if you follow the fundamental news, but Trump wants to maybe get a deal that Canada is going to be the 51st state of America, and Canada says that it doesn't want to negotiate about it, and that's no option. So that's causing this pair to dump, because then CAD will gain strength over USD, which will drop it. But if they end up negotiating, if they end up with a deal, this pair is going to skyrocket up higher. So definitely keep your eyes out on that as well. And if I see they're negotiating about it, then I'm definitely possibly going to scale in a position trading towards that liquidity and these premium prices. EUR/CAD on the weekly time frame. So what can we see? We almost took liquidity above these highs, but we didn't do this. We just took liquidity underneath this one. We broke the fractal high, now the fractal low. So we have this supply to what? To trade lower from. We took a lot of liquidity above the highs, so we could expect to take liquidity at the lows as well. Something like this, or just at least this move is very possible. If you look at this move up, you could also move towards the discount prices. Looking at the daily, we are daily bullish. We have open demand, we've opened discount prices, and we've open liquidity, so perfect to trade down lower. We now have this supply, and now we have this supply, so wouldn't be surprised if we actually start moving down lower already, especially with the Canadian dollar gaining some strength. So if there is not going to be a negotiation, and if there is some other negotiations about the deals, if there is going to be a lot less uncertainty around the world, the Canadian dollar is going to gain some strength, which will cause this to dump, and the euro is also very weak. So I'm also definitely looking at EUR/CAD shorts 100% fundamentally. Of course, everything can change, but we are 4 hour bearish as well. We have some liquidity above the highs. If I see this swipe, fundamentals are in line, I might just sell, but the best thing to do is wait for confirmation in order to trade down lower. If we now just break down lower again, I would like to see one more swipe, because as you guys know, I am a guy of liquidity. I would always want to see liquidity swipe first before moving down lower. So what most people could do, see a new supply getting formed, trade down lower from this supply. But in my opinion, I want to be safe. I want to see some liquidity get swiped, maybe tap in towards this supply, and then I am going to take the short setup. But I will definitely keep my eye out on this EUR/CAD short. Going over to GBP CAD, so looking absolutely beautiful to take the long setup here, but fundamentally could trade down lower, so that's why I'm not going to do so. Also because we just took a lot of liquidity above these highs, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw one more move before moving up higher. Overall, the order flow is still bullish, so I could still expect upside until this liquidity, and from here I could expect a move down lower in towards those discount prices. Going over to the daily here, we are daily bullish. We tapped discount prices, We have daily bullish order flow with this amount open. Once we tap this, expecting upside movement. Some internal liquidity over here as well. Boom, boom, looking absolutely beautiful. We took liquidity over here as well. So on the daily, this is A plus. So we need to wait what price will do. On the 4 hour, I have the exact same 4 hour bullish order flow, liquidity, internal liquidity. So exactly the same. The only thing is, yeah, fundamentally, it's not the best to trade up higher. It's kind of the same as EuroCAD. So what I might do is maybe take a long setup until this internal liquidity, because what could happen from here, down lower or up higher. But what do I almost certainly know is this move up. So could be a possibility. We'll take a look at what the fundamentals say, because I try to trade like in line with the fundamentals, but I'll see what's up. If there are any other setups, I would like to prefer those, but we'll see during the week. Going over to NZD CAD, looking beautiful in the weekly to trade down lower actually. We are bearish, we tap premium prices with clear bearish order flow, so continuing down lower is possible. We gotta keep in mind that we took liquidity under the lows, so we could also take liquidity above the highs before making the actual move down lower. But then again, the order flow is still bearish, so wouldn't be surprised if we already fall down lower. I do not like to go short here. Why? In times that there is going to be less uncertainty, so deals are coming, people are negotiating about the tariffs, NZD tends to rise, which will cause this pair to rise as well. But the Canadian dollar could also strengthen as well together with NZD, which could also cause the pair to trade down lower. So yeah, probably it is possible to take this short setup. I'm not going to deny that. We have this order flow as well on the daily. We also took some liquidity above these highs, so definitely not bad actually to take the short setup. Looking at the 4 hour, 4 hour bullish, we then see that we've created a beautiful high, swiping the highs, and then we have kind of this supply with some liquidity inside of this as well. This would also be a possible nice setup, trading towards the discount prices, but like I said, I wouldn't prefer this one just because we took like a lot of liquidity at the lows. Wouldn't be surprised if we swipe this high, even though it looks very ugly to swipe this high, but again, I'm not going to do this. We'll see what's up once we react from the supply. If I'm really desperate for money or something, which I often don't because I highly focus on my psychology and risk management, but yeah, then we could take a short setup. We'll see. AUD CAD, looking at the weekly time frame. So on the weekly time frame here, we are weekly bearish. We didn't break the weekly low. We just grabbed liquidity underneath this as well as liquidity over here. So yeah, like take so much liquidity, I kind of expect at least this little wick to get taken out before getting it moved down lower. That's what I'm expecting. Looking at the daily, yeah, man, look at all these lows, right? So before this move down lower, like we were just over here, right? All of these lows were open. News is announced, boom, swiping all the lows. What do you think this is? Manipulation, and now we're just going to distribute, take out all the highs. That's a possibility. No financial advice, of course, but basically no liquidity in this move down. Definitely looking at continuation to the upside. Looking very good actually. Looking at the 4 hour though, we are actually 4 hour bearish. We are inside this supply zone. So might not be the best here to actually look for those long setup. What we can see is rally base rally, so it could happen. This is tricky. This is very tricky. I'm going to try to learn on the fundamentals on AUD CAD what will happen. Also, I will take a look at forex fundamentals for next week, what the scores are, to see if AUD CAD could straight up higher, because then I might take a long setup towards that weekly liquidity, which I talk about, just boom like this. but I will keep you guys updated on this as well. But again, it's looking quite tricky. So looking at the weekly here on the yen basket, we are bullish. We have bullish order flow, so we could just expect some upside in towards this supply. But again, we need to keep in mind we took liquidity over here, and overall, guys, yen is very bearish. I know we are fundamentally in a switch that could cause the yen to rise, possibly, but at the moment, yeah, once there is like a lot of negotiations, so if the dollar will rise, because people then will go back to the dollar because they will trust the dollar more if there are going to be deals, which means the yen could drop. So like everybody in the space, which I know, we have support or resistance, and with everything, almost everyone is looking to buy here. I don't know a single person that has mixed feelings about this. Everyone says, whoa, looking super great, 100% going up. So that's also causing some hesitation with me, and I also think that it looks too perfect here to trade up higher. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think we could see a swipe like this, and everyone is going to be shocked because like this move, I'm not anticipating this, but this doesn't look good. A move down lower like this, I do not see this happening. We have bullish order flow, like so beautiful. Also on a 4 hour, we'll see in a second. So beautiful to trade up higher, but that's why I do not like this at all. Everybody's longing here. I'm just waiting for more confirmation or a swipe like this, or just take out the lows. You never know. But yeah, I think it's quite tricky here to long. So I'm not going to do this because I don't want to go in line with every single body. So yeah, because again, bullish, liquidity, fresh demand. Guys, this is looking too perfect in my opinion. I don't know what else to say. Again, this is our strategy. So yes, we could trade up higher, but I don't know anybody who says that the yen basket could trade down lower. So that's why I find it quite tricky. If you look at euro yen, I also see some liquidity at these highs that could get taken out. And if you look at the refined zone, we have this little refined zone as well. So wouldn't be surprised if we see this. If we go over to the yen basket real quick, then I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like this, man. Just a swipe, boom, would take out a lot of people. Wouldn't be surprised actually. So euro yen, could we then see some upside movement? Well, for now, I don't really know. I'm not anticipating this, but I do know that we have bullish order flow on the daily. This is all open, like trend line as hell. So wouldn't be surprised here if we see upside. Am I going to take a long setup for now? No, because what do I see? We just turned bullish. And what do you see when you just turn bullish? Well, a pullback, of course. So after we have the pullback, then I will be able to take the long setup. So if you now take liquidity underneath this low, why this low? It would be super beautiful to go long, of course, from this demand, right? This is also looking very beautiful with the order flow. And this is again the continuation trade, like with the order flow, trading up higher to take out all of that liquidity. Yeah. But I know that that these reversal trades are better for my win rate, so I'm going to wait for these, going to wait for liquidity for discount prices, and then I will long. Yeah, that's my game plan for now. Am I going to take a short setup towards that liquidity? No, because order flow is bullish and we took liquidity at these highs. Going over to GJ, was looking at this setup but removed a limit because we touched this sell before the buy, which could now push price back up higher. We do have this supply still open, but quickly going over to the weekly. Well, what do we see here on a weekly? We are bearish. We have bearish order flow. We took liquidity with this recent supply, so definitely expecting a move down lower on the weekly. On the daily as well, bearish, took liquidity here, bearish order flow. now in this fresh supply zone, never has been tapped before. Also, you kind of see this range, well, 75 level, 25 level, as you can see, acting like resistance and support, and over here also support and resistance, right? So why not here? So this is also what I'm expecting, well, from this supply zone, trading towards this internal liquidity, trading towards this refined demand. This is what I'm trying to trade. This is beautiful. So going over to the 4 hour, this would actually mean that the yen basket could trade up higher, which I doubt fundamentally, but we'll see what will happen. But it is in line with the technicals though. So if we see a beautiful setup forming over here, I know a lot of people are actually waiting for that swipe before they actually move down lower. In my opinion, the yen pairs are really order flow driven. So yeah, we could just follow the order flow up higher, right? Like this. But we also have this supply zone as well. We took liquidity here. So if I see some confirmation in here, I might try to take a short setup already, trading towards that liquidity. And because we're also bearish inside premium prices, supply, order flow, liquidity. So yeah, might not be too bad to take the short setup here. But of course, we'll need to wait for a lot of confirmation because of this high, which could be a fake high, right? This could be early sellers before the actual move down lower. Going over to USD yen, a beautiful setup was formed actually yesterday. I just made my trade breakdown and I just posted it. But we are weekly bullish order flow, took liquidity, expecting a move up higher. Looking on the daily, this is basically trade breakdown on steroids. But okay, we're bearish, trading towards premium prices, going up higher. We have liquidity open, supply open. We now have bullish order flow. Why? We have demand. We create new demand and we create new demand. So we could just trade up higher in towards what? In towards the liquidity and the supply and the premium levels. So still expecting upside for next week. Looking at the 4 hour, like so beautiful, guys. So we are 4 hour bullish. So look at this. 4 hour bullish, retracement in discount prices inside demand, took liquidity, switched order flow here, took the setup, boom, 3.4 RR. Then we turned 4 hour bullish again. Then we have discount prices over here. We have some internal liquidity. This is our daily demand. So what do? Stop loss underneath this low. Just entering over here, just trading up higher for a 1 to 2 risk to reward. Because why? Didn't I wait for any confirmation here? It was just A plus. And as you can see, there is momentum kicking in the market. So I wouldn't be surprised if it just rally up higher here. So that's the reason why I took the trade towards this liquidity and this open supply. And also next week, let's say we see this. So we, for example, trade down lower. We swipe the low, swiping early buyers actually. Then we see the fractal break. This is something to look for a possible scaling as well. But yeah, we'll need to see how price reacts, what price does. Going over to AUD yen, had a front run over here as well. Doesn't matter at all. But going over to the weekly here, well, we are bearish. We got to keep in mind we took liquidity under this major low, so expecting to get liquidity taken out at the highs as well, of course. AUD should gain some strength soon, and the yen should also fundamentally trade down lower, but we've seen that technically it should trade up higher. We'll see what happens with the yen basket. Am I going to take the long setup towards highs? Not really, because we are in weekly supply and we are around the premium prices, so we could trade down lower. Now, if we see that we break, for example, this supply, we see a lot of confirmation, I might take long setups towards the supply and this liquidity, just because we took a lot of liquidity at the lows. Going over to the daily here, kind of the same swing and pre-VD as the weekly, but talking about order flow, still bearish from this supply. So definitely expecting a move at least down lower in towards this demand zone. Or at least that's what I'm expecting to happen, something like this. From here we could trade up higher, But again, if we look at this move down lower, no liquidity in the move. Am I going to take a short setup? No, we could just swipe, take liquidity over here. Why? Actually, this is looking crazy because we took liquidity over here. Beautiful. So we could just continue up higher to take what? Liquidity at the highs. This, guys, this is beautiful. I also see this happen, but no possible trades for me because it's counter trend on the weekly, daily, and 4-hour, as well as counter PVD against the weekly, daily, and 4-hour. And we are inside supply on the weekly, daily, and 4-hour, and we took liquidity on the 4-hour. So longing here is not going to happen for me. If you have balls of steel, you could trade towards the highs, which is definitely possible, but it just counter our strategy. It's just intuitive, and that's not what I'm going to do. I want to be intuitive, in line with the strategy and fundamentals. So that's the case what I want to trade. For now, like if you purely look technicals, you could short down lower towards this amount. Am I going to? No, because like I said, these liquidity highs could take taken out. If we see a swipe like this, then we could take a short setup, for example. NZD yen, probably going to be the same as AUD yen. Yeah, as you can see, we swiped the low, and now, yeah, what are you expecting? Well, people are shorting from the supply 100% because they think, oh, supply, we're going to go short. We know we took a lot of liquidity. We could take liquidity above the highs, and then we could trade down lower. So that's also what I'm expecting to happen, trading towards this supply possibly, and then we could move down lower after swiping these liquidity highs. This is looking perfect. Like if we do this, boom, 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 would be a nice setup. Looking at the daily, again, this is all same story as AUD yen. Liquidity at the highs, boom, supply open, took a lot of liquidity at the lows, could just trade up higher, but in line with the strategy, it is not perfect to take the short setup, so wouldn't do that. To take the long setup, here we are bearish, we have premium prices, we have supply, we have liquidity, we have a no, and then probably a yes if we break down lower. A lot of people would short here. Again, guys, gotta keep in mind that we had some manipulation move and that we now could take liquidity at the highs. So please be careful before taking a short setup here. For the rest, probably not going to trade this pair. Nothing to see on NZD yen. Swiss yen, like I called it at the lows, guys. I don't know if you guys watch my market outlooks, or if I told it in the market outlooks, if I already did them over here, but I was calling the lows once we swipe this low over here. As you can see, I took this trade and also the smaller ones over here, but I wanted to anticipate to trade all the way at these highs, even this high. As you can see, big move, it happened. So yeah, still expecting upside, like at least towards this high, expecting to trade up higher. A beautiful setup was also over here. We have 4-hour bullish order flow, liquidity has been taken, the amount, and discount prices. So this was actually a perfect setup. I'm not in a trade, which is unfortunate, but yeah, this is how things go. This was actually such a nice setup. But yeah, things can happen, right? Or I can also miss some trades. But looking at CAD yen, going over to the weekly here first, we can see we take liquidity at the lows, we get a reaction, we then swipe early buyers over here, and now we could actually trade up higher to take liquidity. I'm being a bit careful here because we have this monthly demand open, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a tap before the actual move. So going to keep that in mind. But if we start breaking the highs, if we start breaking these highs, weekly fractals, we could trade up higher towards liquidity. Now, yeah, that's a possibility. We didn't break the daily trend line, but we just grabbed liquidity at the lows. What do we then often see? Well, guys, liquidity at the highs. So definitely expecting for this liquidity to get taken out. Could be great. We also switch order flow now. So if I delete those, we see that we're bullish order flow, and I could expect some upside towards at least this liquidity. I'm going to try to catch a trade. Actually, I was already trying to catch a trade over here, but I was anticipating a swipe of the lows, and then I would go long. So my alert was at this low, but we ended up already trading up higher, which is quite unfortunate, but yeah, that's the game. But now we are 4 hour bullish. We have this demand open and we have liquidity at the highs with this open supply looking beautiful to trade up higher. If we now see a retracement in towards the 50% level over here, yeah, maybe this little internal liquidity, but I want to see something like this, and then I want to trade up higher. Oh, so then I want to trade up higher. Keep in mind, guys, I am going to be careful of this like monthly demand which I showed you on the weekly time frame, but still could expect some upside. Why? With the CAD could gain some strength as well, and the yen could get weakened. So this is fundamentally also looking very beautiful if we see deals happening, if we see negotiations, if we see deals happening, if the war like stops for a couple of days, this could end up trading up higher. So that's also what I'm waiting on. Going to look at the fundamentals next week and yeah, keep you guys updated. But here, going over to the last pair, Euro GBP, what do we see? Well, we are bearish, and actually we have this bigger zone open over here where we could trade towards over the time, right? So we break the lows every single time, so why not break the lows this time? We have bearish order flow. We took liquidity above these highs, seeing a major pullback or a major manipulation move, taking liquidity above all these highs could cause a big move down lower, because fundamentally Euro GBP was also very bearish before the tariff announcements, so wouldn't be surprised if we now just trade down lower, and that this just was a one big manipulation move, swapping everybody that went short, and now you could see the real move in towards the downside. We are very bullish though, so with the strategy it's not valid, but we have this supply and actually also order flow. So if we see something like this, wouldn't be so abnormal for me to take a short setup here, just because fundamentally it's so strong. We took so much liquidity and we have an open demand. So yeah, move like this is not in a bad trade. I do see that we have a supply open over here, so that's something I am going to be careful of, and that's actually, yeah, not the best thing. But if we see this, guys, tapping towards the supply, this is a plus. Like one more swipe above these highs, this is a nice setup. So that's also what I'm going to take if I see this. Otherwise, I'm not going to take an early setup. Why? Like no supply over here, all trendline liquidity. We do expect that to get taken out. So that was this, guys. I hope you liked it. I hope you watched it all out and learned a lot from this video. See you guys in the next weekly outlook. Bye.